having rolled out iManage Work 10 to a global law firm with offices all around the world, Squire Patton Boggs. So looking back, what did you learn about the curriculum that you taught for your go live?
Well, I think one of the key things was we looked at, what do people need to know versus nice to know? For us at our firm, we were already using iManage version 9, so they had the concepts of how to use iManage, but we had to take them on that journey from 9 to 10. So we really focused on, okay, so what do people need to know first of all to get by, so we could give them the relevant conversion training, and then follow on a little bit later with the nice to know to sort of build up their skills and the adoption of the technology. With so many projects, the focus is always on the preparation and the go live and maybe the first few days, but I think it's really important to spend time thinking about how you're going to support those users maybe in the first 60 to 90 days and how you might drip feed out further information.
I understand you also built your curriculum out around LTC4. Can you explain why you did that and what the real advantages are?
Well, that saves us a whole host of time because it allows us to reevaluate what the workflows and the skills are that the lawyers need and also the secretarial and the support staff need. So we always go back to that to really look at, okay, so where are we covering this? What needs to be covered for day one? What can we bring after day one?
Right.
But it's a real prime opportunity to provide that extra professional development for your users, for your lawyers and your staff. Um, but it also provides an opportunity as well that you've got some proof that they've acquired that knowledge. So for us, the lawyers were able to obtain the certification just from doing the conversion training, but for our secretaries and support staff, they had some further modules to do.
Right.
But it was still a good message to say, well, actually, you're 60% of the way there now. If you do these next two modules, then you'll gain the certification. So I think it saves so much time. And, we always go back to that because it gives us that grounding to say,
Right.
what's the industry standard and, what do we need to make sure our lawyers know to be efficient with the technology.
Now, looking at the go live training itself, what lessons did you learn about the actual sessions you offered in advance of the go live?
Yeah, so we gave a flexible approach. They could do it online only or they could do it blended. For those that wanted to do it blended, we offered hands-on practical sessions where they could work
Hmm.
through a set of tasks. To be honest, we
Flip
uptake.
learning, right? You
Yeah,
follow the flip learning model. It's
we do. Yeah.
phenomenally instructive.
Apart from uptake was quite low. So I think, what I learned or we learned as a team from that is actually we'd probably look to offer demos as well. And I think it's more focusing on a range of different learning styles and having a range of different ways that people can consume the learning. The other thing that we are looking at is a diagnostic assessment tool prior to the
Hmm.
rollout. So this is a future thing, not that we did it for this rollout, but it's actually an opportunity for people to prove what they know because they may have used the technology in another firm and then provide that sort of gap analysis learning so they're getting what they need in a much quicker way.
Now, I understand that you've had some great success with your post go live training, which you talked about in the 60 to 90 days afterwards. Can you explain how that's worked?
Yeah, so talking about, upskilling, we started to offer one-on-one consultancy sessions. These were just 30-minute sessions that people could sign up to, and it was an opportunity for them to talk with a trainer, ask any questions, discuss any barriers. And we found that that has been hugely successful, that
I
white glove
imagine.
service. Yeah,
Who wouldn't want a one-on-one training?
exactly. It's resource heavy, but the value of it and the fact that we were getting a lot of partners taking that up and actually getting them adopting the technology in a more efficient way, that's definitely something we'll continue to do for future rollouts as well.
Now, I understand you also asked them in advance what it was that they would like to know or what they might be struggling with so that you could actually tailor it right away.
Exactly. Yeah, we asked them gave them a set of questions to think about and prepare and bring something with them. If they didn't, the trainers were armed with tips and short demos, so it meant that the time wasn't wasted if the individual
Right.
came with nothing.
Fantastic. Oh, I'd take one.
Me too.
Now, looking back on it, what did you find your users struggled with the most about the change from 9 to 10?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was the searching, was the biggest hurdle, and that's what we came back and did a lot of consultancy sessions on and upskilling after was going back to the searching. For us, that seemed to be the biggest hurdle for our learners. And, as most people know with iManage 10, that's going to be the biggest reward in terms of the way that you can use that simple search. But that's what we found was the biggest hurdle for our learners. So, anyone thinking about the curriculum, make some focus in that searching area.
Right, agreed. And that's our experience as well. It's the biggest challenge, but it's also the biggest reward. Now, looking back on your go live support, I understand that there were some reflections that you've made since then on how you do it a little differently. Can you share with the group what you've learned and what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so we opted for fully remote, and I thought this is the best way to do it. It's going to be great. But actually, in the final analysis, we would have been better to have some boots on the ground. So more of a hybrid approach. So for the next project that we're doing later this year, we are going to do a hybrid approach where we will have people on the ground, but those people on the ground can also support remotely where we need to, because obviously, some people don't come into the office.
And lastly, turning to the change management elements of the project. I, for one, am a very, very strong advocate for change management. If you're going to be putting all of this effort and all of this expense into this project, any project, it's the change management that really dictates the adoption and the uptake. What lessons did you learn and what tips would you give?
So the biggest thing for me was normally in projects, we have a steering group and a user group. And for this particular project, we didn't. And I don't know if that decision was because we're already on iManage 9, it was only going to 10. But to be honest, I think that was a definite lesson learned, because having a steering group and a user group is a great way to start that adoption and buy-in with champions
Right.
earlier. They feel like they're part of the decision making, and I think that really helps on the ground when they're speaking to people in their departments and their offices. So that's something that was a lesson learned that we didn't do. Understanding, I've put data, or I said data is key, and it's about understanding what reports you're going to need for your stakeholders throughout the project. And we had some gaps in our reporting, and I think that really reflected working with the office managers. We really needed to have reports for them so that they could help sort of drive that adoption
Mhm.
and getting people engaged with the training on the ground. So that's another key area. And for this project, things slipped, and projects do, and that's fine. But
They always
in
do.
the end, it ended up the change management and it was really the training part that got squeezed. And this really caused issues because we didn't have that same time to sort of warm people up with promo videos and build up the appetite that we would have liked to. So I think it's a real key message where you can, to push back, because the more that training and adoption gets squeezed, then the less likely your project is to be successful. And quite rightly, as you said, John, at the beginning there, it's the investment the firm is making. They want to see the return on it, and people are using it and adopting the technology that they've purchased. I always say it's like having a brick on your desk then, and it's money down the drain.
Yes. Agreed 100%. You are preaching to the choir. Well, thank you so very much, Rachel. The audience here is now much wiser from your experience, and I hope they take this to heart. It's been very nice to talk with you, and I appreciate your sharing your thoughts.
Brilliant.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.